Alright, I just uploaded, yeah, it's a little short video of me, going and getting the bike ready and going up to Mama's. Amazing stuff, but I got it on subscription, so my next, 5 quarts of oil are coming in December. I have officially switched to Klotz 2040 full synthetic for my bike. I had been using, I have it behind me. Let me grab it, because I didn't even use it. Wow! Timber. Oh, my purse. 10,000 pound fucker. Anyway, here we go. Ugh. Okay. I had been using this. Alright. I order it. They send it to me. And every year, somewhere between April and June, depending on when I get my ass out there to fucking do it. Comes with a filter, comes with the gaskets, and I get 6 quarts of oil. Alright? Here's the problem. This is a semi-synthetic. And my bike burns it. It burns it. Like, gone. So, the directions for my bike and doing its oil change, Klotz puts a little thing in their kit. So, there's a collective of issues. So, we're going to go through them. And I'm going to tell you exactly not only what I was doing wrong, but what my shitbag dealership was doing wrong. Let me explain. So, I have a video on here of me doing my oil change with this shit. And right after that, I didn't ride it. I rode it up to the store. Like, quite literally, rode it up to the store. And, put fuel in it. And it sat until I left to go to New York. So, it had no miles, right? Now, going up to New York, where I was going, is only about 1,180 miles, roughly, right? It's like 895 or 920, some shit, to Elmira. It takes me 15 hours to get to Elmira, and then it takes me another 4 from where I'm at in Gallatin to get up to the Saratoga Springs, Lake George region of the planet on 87. It just gives you an idea how far I actually go, right? So, Lake Luzerne, Corinth, Saratoga, that's where I end up when I go up there. Anyway, so I did the oil change with a kit like that. Let it sit. Guys are like, yeah, why ain't you riding a bike? I said, because I'm saving my miles, man. I got to go to New York, right? I got up to Elmira. I didn't think to check my oil. But I had 1 quart in the bag. So 5 actually went in the bike the day that I did the oil change. 5. Solid fucking quarts. And the 6th one went on the bag. I mean, it was in the bag. I brought it with me when I went up there. Long story short, I get up there. I get to Elmira. I hang out with my cousin. I let the bike rest. Stay with her for, 24 hours. I leave about 4 or 5 in the morning. I get up to, my buddy's mother's at about 9:30-ish. I bullshit with her, she gives me his ashes, and she's just a darling. I love his mom. She always loved the girls being around because she had 2 boys. She always wanted girls. You know, so she loved it when all the girls were hanging around. Anyway, and she was at the ride. She saw us off. You know, we did it, you know, riding prayer or whatever. Totally disorganized ride. I'm not used to that kind of thing. I ride with groups that, you know, you stagger your lanes. You make sure that there's space for the guards to get back in position. You know, you got 2 in the front that are going to take care of it right on the left. You got the 2 as we're turning. Those 2 on the left are going to take off as soon as the rounds. Those guys are going to take over for them. They're going to get in position, follow on, and everybody stays in formation. Yeah, that's the type of environment I'm used to, right? I got upstate New York, and I didn't think to put my downloads on. I was driving without music for a while. It was kind of sucking. But anyway, long story short, I get up there, I do the ride, I visit with friends. They were, you know, one girl come up to me and she was like, yeah, someone said that your hair is fake. I said, my hair is not fake. And dude that I'm friends with from high school, he's like, no, her hair is not fake. Her hair has been long her whole life. She used to chop it off in like 9th grade. But, yeah, those are dreads. And she's like, really? I said, yeah, they're dreads. I braid them because they get in my way while I'm riding. I mean, they get in my way being braided. But I said, yeah, do you want me to take it out and I'll show you what they look like? She was, no, there's someone who said that, no, they're fake. And I'm like, no, they're real. Every strand of this hair is mine. Come out of my head. She was like, wow. I was like, yeah. So, anyway, she was like, oh my God, I heard you guys came from Lacona. And, he's like, yeah, we did, but we're shadowed. And the girl's like, what do you mean? And I'm looking at him like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, you. I was like, oh yeah, ride my coattails, bitches. Yeah, I came from Tennessee. They came from Lacona. Anyway, so I got back to Elmira that next morning before I left, and my cousin's downstairs seeing me off and, you know, whatnot. I checked my oil, and the stick was damn near dry. The only wet part on my stick was the very tip. No pun. I'm not trying to be. Yeah. Anyway, only the tip was wet. So, I add the 6th quart. And I turn the bike on. And I run it, and then I get to, I don't know, a couple 100 miles up the road, whatever. And I check it again. And it's looking at the ad line, right? So I am checking every fucking gas station that I come to. Every fuel spot. Pilot, Circle K, Buc-ee's, you name it. I'm trying to find somewhere that has V-twin oil. There's none. By some grace of God, I stop at this rinky-dink fucking Mobil in Ohio. And another couple comes up and they're on a Harley. And I go in there and I'm looking at the oil. And I'm like, they ain't got nothing for V-twins here, do they? I said, now, I know there's a gas station, Pilot or something, North Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana area. Because we had rode up there, me and a group, long fucking time ago. And dude said, yeah, they got 1050 in there. I was like, I'll fucking take it. They had JP's 1050. And, I said, I'll take it. That'll work, right? Because even then, and I wasn't doing my own oil changes yet. I was getting them done by the dealership. Even then, it was low. So the lady that was riding with us, she's like, it's in the ad? I said, it is it's not splashed to the full. I mean, it's been sitting, I got fuel and whatever. I said, but I just, it shouldn't be at the ad, right? It should be like somewhere in mid, ad and full, right? She's like, yeah, that would sound about right. I was like, no, it's under the ad. She's like, no way. I was like, yeah. I was like, something's not right, right? She's like, where do you get your changes done? I said, dealership. She was like, huh. She didn't say nothing. She's got over 100,000 miles under her belt. Anyway, so I add the 1050 to it, and it gets me home, and I get it above the ad line after it's been running, right? And it only sat about 10 minutes. But it still shouldn't have been that low, right? And I let it sit for a few weeks, and I go in and I get another oil change done. And then I go in right before I leave to go to Idaho the first time. And I'm like, I know it's not got 5,000 miles on it, but I put a lot of miles on between the last one. And so go ahead and change the oil. Get it so it's fresh. So that way I can get there and back. And I don't have to worry about getting service. And I'm not going over. And they're like, okay. So they did my oil change. This is where they fucked up. And they were using, the whole time, the dealership's using 1560 in my bike. And it's a 111 Thunderstroke. They're using 1560 full synthetic in my bike. Every time they did my oil change. And I thought that was right. I looked at the book enough, and there's really nothing, I don't recall seeing anywhere in the book saying that a 111 Thunderstroke needs a semi-synthetic 2040 or a full synthetic 2040. I didn't see anything, right? So I'm going by the fact that it's the dealership and it's, their expertise, right? So they do the oil change right before I leave to go to Idaho. And I ride it all the way to Idaho, and I ride it all the way back. And then I park it for almost a year, right? I'm hardly riding it. And it needs to go in to get another oil change probably around May of 2022. It's due, right? And I'm thinking I'm not due. It's 2021. I'd gotten an oil change again because I went in 2020, went out to Idaho. That next April in 2021, I got another oil change because I get one a year because I'm barely putting about 5,000 on it. And they do another one. And I don't go anywhere long distance. I don't go anywhere. Well, I go out to the garage in 2022. It sits pretty much a long fucking time. I take it out of the garage to go take it around the block, and it won't shift. And I'm like, what the fuck, Chuck? Right? So I check the oil, and it's fucking dry. It's fucking dry. And it hardly got rode for an entire year. I'm like, this ain't right. This ain't right at all, right? So before I bring the bike to the dealership for them to figure out what the fuck, I go down there in my pickup truck and I get an oil change kit, and I do the oil change myself, right? So not only does the oil only fill up the pan about halfway, and this bike has hardly been ridden, because it was 2020 when I went out to Idaho. 2021, I got another oil change done, right? It's now April 2022, the bike won't shift. I hardly rode it in 2021. So I get the kit, I bring it home, and I do the change myself. And the two drain plugs on an Indian, they're 6mm hex, right? They have these two little metal washers. Let me grab. They're basically gaskets. They should be in here. There they are. These. Well, when I took the oil from the pan that I drained and poured it into the big reservoir that I use for the truck, keep everything kind of consolidated, there was 3 gaskets in the pan. So I took a video of it on Facebook and sent it to the mechanic at Indian. So yeah, there's 3 gaskets in the pan. And even though there was no oil on the ground in front of my bike, I was kind of investigating, like, why do I have no fucking oil in this bike, right? Well, there was no puddle on the ground when I first took it out to take it for a ride when I found out that it wouldn't shift. When I brought it back, and I had some 1050 from when I did my Harley oil changes, right? So I had some leftovers. And I went through and I started dumping that in there, right? And I brought it up around the block and I got it to shift once extra. So it went up to 5th. But then downshifting, it was kind of a struggle, right? So I was like, yeah, there's something fucked up in the clutch, right? Or the gearing type of thing. So I parked it. And the next morning, when I went out and checked on the bike, it was that weekend, whatever, that I hooked up with the douchebag. Because I was going to take the bike up to Mama's for Easter, stop by his house, hang out with him, and then, whatever. Yeah, I ended up driving my truck. Anyway, to his house. I didn't go there for Easter that year. The bike sat in the garage. I was so pissed off. Anyway, when I got back home and I looked, there was a puddle underneath where the filter is. Around the filter region. After I'd poured a bunch of shit in there. So, the filter had walked out. I'm like, what the fuck? Right? So, it's now... let's see. So, I do the oil change. After I discover it was leaking out the filter, whatever, and then I find the 3 gaskets. So, pull the new old filter off, find the 3 gaskets, drain all the oil out, put a new filter on, put new oil in there, put 5 quarts in this bike. And I show him I got it from y'all. He calls it shit oil at me. I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, I left the fucking half of the 5th fucking quart in the bag, and the 6th one is in the trunk on the back. I just did a new oil change on that. So you would, yeah, I did it. And that's why I messaged you. I got 3 fucking gaskets in my pan. Your guy fucked up. That's basically what I was saying. Anyway, I have not let them do an oil change on my bike since. They fixed the bearing that seized because it was their fault. Anyway, I was under warranty, thank God. Thank fucking God I was under warranty. But those guys at that dealership have never done an oil change on my bike since that bearing got fixed. That next oil change, I started to do them myself. And there's a little bit of a nuance. I have the chuck for the oil filter that fits the oil filter. You can just, put it on a ratchet and pull it off. That oil filter, this one, the Indian one, walks. So, the little peckerhead that left the other gasket in there, he didn't have this tightened down proper. When I did the oil change, under the knowledge that I have, you do it hand tight, it walked out on my way to Colorado. I was at the gas station filling up, and my oil filter, I reached down there. It was hot as fuck. I had my gloves on, and I cranked on it. I was like, shit. Oh, shit. So when I got home from that one, I ended up doing an oil change then, and using this kit that I have, this Indian kit. Now, every oil change that I've done since 2023, I have done them myself. So I've got 4 oil changes under my belt on my own that I've done using this kit. And every time I have used this kit, it does not take the full 6. Initially, it only takes 4. You might be able to force the 5th one in there. But the trick is, you put 4 in, you turn it on, you run it a few miles, get the oil circulating, bring it back, park it, let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then drop the 5th quart in there and it'll fit. 6th quart goes on your bike. Klotz, it comes with 5 quarts. So the semi-synthetic comes with an extra quart. And my bike did not make it from Tennessee to New York and back without adding that 6th quart. The Klotz gives me directions. I got 5 quarts. I go ahead and I take the bike after I put all the 4 quarts in. That's all I can fit. I run it up. I fill the tank up because I know I'm gonna want to get ready to go on this trip. It's a couple weeks before I gotta leave. I go fill the tank. I come back to the house. I park it. I let it sit for about 15 minutes. I add that 5th quart in there. What you were seeing in that little 5-star video for Klotz, that is 5 quarts. There's no extra quart that comes with it. It went all the way to Idaho and back. That 2040 semi-synthetic from Indian, I went from Tennessee to Lake George, back to Elmira, checked it. It was fucking dry as a bone. I had to put the 6 quart in before I left from Elmira to go home. And some dude gave me some of his 1560 full synthetic. We put about a half a quart in it to get it above the ad line. Yeah. And he was there. I was like, check this out. This is crazy. He's like, no, it should be halfway between your full and ad. He said, when it's sitting, after it's been sitting for a while, you stand it upright, you check the dipstick, it should be like just under the full, right? Under the full line. He said, but while you're riding it, it shouldn't decrease that much. So yeah, it was just under the midway of the stick with that 6 quart in there. And that was in Ohio. So, Indian, sorry, your oil sucks. 1. 2, your dealerships need to do better and get off this frame of mind that 1560 runs on everything. Because 1560 almost blew up my fucking gearing system. Not to mention, the techs that you have in there, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They left a gasket in there, so I had 3 gaskets. They did not put the full 5 quarts in it. That I fucking know. And if it requires 6 quarts because of wear and tear, whatever, they didn't give me that 6th quart to work with. So they didn't leave it on my bike to add it later. So here's your extra quart. You know, when you get home, let it sit. Tomorrow, when you get a chance after work or whatever, go ahead and check it and add the 6th quart. What a shit show. But yeah, when you have machines, you learn this stuff. I wasn't a fucking scholar at bikes. I learned how to ride them. I didn't know all the little nuances of their mechanics and shit. Yeah, you learn this as you go. Thank God, I had a veteran buddy who owned a garage and did motorcycles. That was basically his thing. He taught me a bunch of stuff. He talked me through it. He's like, yeah, you like to do stuff yourself. Yeah, I like to do my own oil changes. I mean, I like to do it? No, but peace of mind. Hell yeah, I do my own before, and lesson learned. Granted, they have maintenance shops. They got service things at these dealerships. But you know what? I don't trust the technicians anymore. I really don't. I don't trust them. Because it's expensive. For one. That kit costs me about $100. The Klotz cost me about $100. With shipping and everything. It's a time saver. I do it in my garage. I don't need fancy lift and all that shit to do an oil change. You just need the tools, a little bit of know-how, and understanding of torque specs. But yeah, their tech did not do my oil filter properly. It weeped. And my oil leaked out. Yes, sir. And when I did the change, prior to bringing it to them to fix the gear that had seized up, I discovered the third gasket there, and I discovered that the oil filter was fucking loose. That was them. That wasn't me. Now, I had done an oil change on it afterward. After I went through that rigmarole, I started doing my own. And I had noticed that that oil filter has a tendency to be a little finicky. And it walks out. So the last time I did an oil change on it, I tightened that fucker with death grip. And it was a murder getting it off. I ended up having to jaw it off. I have those oil filter jaws. Yeah, that was not a good time. No, it was not. But I did get it off. And I put the Klotz filter on there. And I used the Klotz oil. And my bike went all the way from here to Idaho Falls and back in that scorching motherfucking heat. And I did not have to replenish my oil not one time. So, kudos to Klotz. Best fucking oil there is. Thank you for making a weight and a formulation for the Thunderstroke 111, because now I don't know what I'm going to do with that shit. That was a waste of $100. I'm never putting that crap in my bike ever again. I will forever use my Klotz. Klotz is the shit. So, yes, 5 stars. All around. Y'all have a great week. That is the story on how I have discovered Klotz. Indian, do better. Peace.